Ballers!
Now then, let's begin with a simple explanation of the class trial. During the class trial, if you vote correctly, then I'll punish everyone beside. Oh well, who cares about this
I don't mind starting the trial, but I don't really have a grasp of how the case played out. You know, because I was asleep the whole time.
Even if you do grasp it,
But Nagito's not alone. I don't really get it either.
you're fine. Your head's empty anyway.
Empty head? Huh. What's wrong with that? Listen up. The emptier your head, the more dreams you can stuff inside it, you know?
Okay, Hina.
Anyway, we shouldn't proceed with the trial if those two can't participate in the arguments. Since he's the first witness, why don't we ask Hajime to explain the incident and the sequence of events?
Then, let's start with when we split into the hospital team and motel team because of the despair disease. The hospital team consisted of Nagito, Ibuki, and Akane, who were infected, and Mikan, Fuyuhiko, and me.
The other 5 on the motel team were myself, Gundam, Kazuichi, Chiaki, and Hyoko.
Spending the night at the hospital was prohibited, so Hajime and I had to sleep at our cottages.
I woke up at my cottage on the day the incident happened. Mikan came by to wake me up and told me that Nagito had recovered from his symptoms. We immediately headed over to the hospital, and after we confirmed his recovery, I made Mikan rest in the on-call room, since she hadn't slept all night, while I waited in the hospital lobby. And then, I saw the incoming signal light on the surveillance camera blinking before our scheduled time. When I pressed the button to turn on the monitor, what appeared on screen was a video of someone wearing a hospital gown and a hemp bag on their head, climbing a stepladder.
Okay, so we do definitely get to see the floor. Is that like the floor in the conference room?
Can't tell.
Amazing! That's such a heart-pounding story! And then what did you do, Hajime?
I tried to stop them, of course. I rushed out of the hospital and ran to where the video was being recorded, the music venue. But it was too late. By the time I arrived, the person wearing the hemp bag on their head was already hanging from the ceiling. I thought I should tell the others right away, so I headed to the motel.
Why the motel?
Because it was close to the music venue, and unlike the hospital, there were more able-bodied people there. At least, that's what I thought, but the only person who came with me was Chiaki.
But I remember feeling a little relieved because not long after, we met up with Mikan and Fuyuhiko.
We were also looking for Ibuki since she disappeared from our sight.
After I rested for a bit, I started counting everyone at the hospital. And then I noticed Ibuki was gone, so I sprinted out of the hospital. Coincidentally, I ran into Fuyuhiko, so I pled with him in various ways to see if he could help me out.
Various ways?
Don't say it like that and confuse people.
After I heard from those two that Ibuki disappeared, I had a feeling she was the person wearing the hemp bag. So I immediately led them to the music venue.
But the door wouldn't open. Since we had no other option, the 4 of us broke down the door. And when that happened, we didn't just find Ibuki's body. We also found Hyoko's. And not just that. Her body was taped to a pillar.
That's when we heard the body discovery announcement. Not once, but twice in a row.
And so we decided to lower the hanged body, didn't we?
When we removed the hemp bag, just as we feared, it was Ibuki.
So that's how the case played out. Thank you. I understood it very easily.
Well, it's clear what the problem with this case is. When Hajime left the music venue, who...
Wait, how do I know anything Hajime just said is true? Sorry, I'm only being impartial right now. And the story I just heard is clearly suspicious. Hajime, if you're the only one who saw the hanging video, and the first one to discover Ibuki's body, then you could be lying as much as you want right now, right?
True.
Lie? Why would I lie?
Obviously. So you could make us ignore what might be an inconvenient truth for you.
Do you doubt me?
If you're not lying, I would like you to prove it. Come on, try to prove it to me. Prove you're not the killer.
Okay,
Hajime's testimony is clearly suspicious.
If Hajime's testimony is a lie,
don't want to agree with
then the
that.
fact that Ibuki hung herself...
That would also be a lie.
I don't think I can deny that possibility. After all, Hajime's the only witness.
Why would Hajime lie?
Well, obviously because he's the killer.
Did Hajime kill both of them?
The fact that the bodies were imitating the movie
Oh,
means it
that.
probably is Hajime's fault.
Imitating the movie, but Hajime is the only one who didn't see the movie.
Hajime's testimony is clearly suspicious.
Oh yeah.
If Hajime's testimony is a lie, then the fact that Ibuki hung her...
That would also be a lie.
I don't think I can deny... After all, Hajime's the only witness.
Why would Hajime lie?
Well, obviously because he's the killer.
Did Hajime kill both of them?
The fact that the bodies were imitating the movie.
No, that's wrong!
There we go.
I'm not the killer! I mean, there's no way I'd be able to imitate that movie.
Of course you're not. I already knew that.
Huh?
Before the incident, Hajime had never watched that movie. His invitation ticket is proof of that. Each person only received one ticket, and they're marked with a stamp that shows the date and time. Isn't that right, Monokuma?
Okay.
Yes, no mistakes there.
13th.
Which means there's no way Hajime, who never saw the movie, could commit murders that imitated it. Or did anyone tell him what happens in the movie? Of course no one did, right?
Hold on a sec. You're the one who brought this up in the first place.
Yeah.
Nagito, what are you doing?
Well, since we're opening with your witness testimony, I thought we should solidify the foundation. It also provides a good warm-up.
What warm-up? This isn't a game, you know.
Don't get mad. I just think warming up is really important. Especially since this isn't a game.
He does kind of have a point in the whole thing of there are going to be people who at the back of their minds could be all like, oh, maybe it was Hajime, he's the only one he saw, blah, 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 blah. And this right here is like, no, it's definitely not him. Let's get over that and focus on something else. Instead of people, you know, not actually bothering to try and then just because they all think it's him.
What a waste of time.
Exactly.
Well,
Now then, since we know...
So this means Ibuki definitely climbed the stepladder all by herself, right?
Yeah, I'm
Maybe.
positive.
Then that seals it. Ibuki committed suicide.
If Ibuki committed suicide,
A murder coincidentally...
Like I said before, it's pretty clear what the problem with this case is. The killer murdered Hiyoko while Hajime was gone. So all we gotta do is establish who could have possibly done that.
He's
Then
very
let's ask
adamant.
Hajime. How long would you say you were away from the music venue?
Oh, gee, I don't
I've been
know.
gone for more than 10 minutes.
That's barely
So they
enough
killed
time to
Hiyoko
do-
and taped her up within 10 minutes? There's no way that's possible.
Unless she was already dead.
That's why the killer stalled for time by making the music venue a closed room.
What do you mean, a closed room?
The killer blocked the venue door from the inside to try and keep us from entering right away.
However, that door is the only entrance to the music venue, right? If they blocked the door from the inside, the killer would not have been able to leave either.
Why
Yeah,
does she
you're
sound
absolutely
like-
right.
Like,
Which
just a computer.
means, when we broke down the venue door, the killer was still inside.
They were?
If that's the case, the only suspicious people are those who don't have an alibi for that time. And that's you two, Sonia and Kazuichi.
Me too?
What the hell?
Okay, well,
Why's
because
it
it's
gonna
coming
be
up so
us?
early, really makes it seem it's probably not them.
No.
The others all have alibis. Chiaki, Mikan, Hajime, and I all broke down the venue door together. Gundam met up with Hajime at the motel right before that. And if Akane and Nagito were laid up in the hospital, the only person that leaves is one of you.
There's another person who doesn't have an alibi. You know, Nekomaru. Me too!
Hey, why are you talking like... Huh? You're kidding, right? You're not up to something weird, are you?
Please stop making bad jokes.
Anyway, if the killer was hiding inside the venue, we should obviously doubt the people who don't have alibis.
What a wicked way of backing us into a wall. Is this his professional skill?
Yes. So, drumstick red herring. Semi-transparent claw.
Yeah.
The killer was still inside the music venue. By locking the door from the inside,
Nope.
No, that's wrong!
Shut up. Nope.
Hold on a sec. There's also a possibility that the door was locked from the outside.
from the outside. How?
There was a semi-transparent glob stuck to the venue door. Maybe that's what they used.
Yeah, there was something that I was concerned with the whole, this is what the door handles look like. And they put a drumstick on it to, like, lock it up. The handles are too, I want to say shallow in their ridges for the drumstick to possibly actually lock the door.
Well, there are two things wrong with the handles. One is that the thickness of the space there, like the distance from the part that sticks up to the door, is too wide for something to reasonably, stay in one place. For them to think that the door is locked. And you're right, possibly also shallow enough that a little bit of jostling, they should have just knocked it off.
Yeah, because like there were two ways I could see of potentially putting the drumstick in between handles to keep a door locked. Either lying down right on top, or kind of like diagonally through, and that wouldn't, either way, that wouldn't work.
And that's the thing, they thought that the door was locked.
Yes.
And there's no way that, like, if you had like a handful of drumsticks shoved into that spot, maybe. But with one drumstick, it should
like
have...
the door should be able to open up a bit so you can see that it's barricaded, not just stuck, locked.
Exactly.
Yes.
Semi-transparent glob. Like rubber, maybe?
Glue?
Yeah.
I see!
That semi-transparent glob must have been glue.
Glue?
Yeah, he ate it.
I think so too. It had a firm, gel-like chewiness, and I could smell workshop chemicals the moment I put it in my mouth.
Yeah.
Based on all that, I'm certain it was glue.
I didn't know glue was edible.
It's not.
I believe
Please don't.
it is not something one typically eats.
That glue was only applied to the areas where both doors touched. By pouring it in the gaps of the closed door, they must have sealed the venue door from the outside.
And thanks to that, a glob of glue was left where the door was stuck. Yep, it fits perfectly. But if you just stick them together with glue, you'd be able to break down the door easily, you know? That doesn't really matter. The killer only did that to make us think the door was locked from the inside.
What'd you say?
First of all, didn't that drumstick we found seem really obvious? Almost unnaturally so? It was so obvious that it makes more sense to think the killer placed it as a diversion.
Are you saying the drumstick was a trap the killer set on purpose? Then I totally fell for that fucking trap.
Apologize to Miss Sonia and me. However, you're not allowed to slice open your stomach this time.
Okay, so here's the question. Do we think it's Fuyuhiko? Because he was so adamant on the stuff, or do we think that he was actually just waylaid?
He seems genuinely surprised by the glue stuff.
True. But it could also be a subversion of, I can't believe you found that out! Drat!
In a quarrel, both sides are to blame. That's why it's better to just have no sides at all.
Shut up, you circle.
So, during the 10 minutes Hajime left the venue, the killer murdered Hiyoko and created a closed space?
And they also taped her up after killing her, right?
Your voice sounds so different.
Even quick work has limits.
Oh, what unimaginable speed for a slowpoke.
Mikan, stop trying to make yourself
If
look
they
suspicious.
couldn't have done it while Hajime was away from the venue,
Oh,
they must have done it earlier than that.
I just had a thought,
Yeah.
and I have a feeling they're going to eventually reveal it. You know how we found some of the, what is it, like the wallpaper with the stickers on them in the storage room?
Yeah, what if they, like, killed her and, like, taped her up onto that somehow and then hung all of that up at once? Or...
Oh, no. Well, my thought is taped her to the wall, put the wallpaper up over her.
See, that's what I was thinking, that there was something up there, like, covering her and that was just taken down. But I don't think so.
No, here's the thing. It also would explain the torn scrap stuck at the top. Because that's the thing. It would take a lot of time for someone to kill her, tape her up, and blah, blah, blah. But if she was already dead when Hajime went in there the first time, and all the killer had to do was tear down the paper and shove it in the storage room, and they just missed a bit of paper, that's something that could be done in that short amount of time.
Do keep in mind that the paper in the storage room was also rolled up.
It actually wasn't. It was it was hastily folded up.
It was mostly rolled up. But yeah,
Yeah.
I considered about that, so I was trying to check to see, like, if we could get another flashback to when Hajime first went into that room, but I don't think we really did, so... There could have been, like, the extra roll of paper above it, but I'm not certain. And that could be... And that could also be why they tried to clean up the blood that was on the stage, because if Hajime had, you know, recognized, hey, there's blood already on the stage, that must mean Hiyoko was already dead.
Yeah.
But then they left it on the stepladder and on Ibuki's shoes. That stayed on despite her being hanged. They were flip-flops. They stayed on.
Yeah, that is a little weird.
But when Hajime got to the venue...
And when you went back with everyone else, Hiyoko's body was there too, right? But it's possible that the body was just revealed at that time, when Hiyoko was actually killed earlier.
Oh, so basically I just made us pause for no reason.
Of course, the body wasn't revealed on its own. The killer did that too.
Yeah, I was
Here,
already thinking
I
that
have
was
proof.
covered.
That scrap of paper. Is that what we found in the baton lighting at the music venue?
That's right, but just what is this scrap anyway?
Wallpaper?
Wallpaper.
Yep.
Actually, you probably could have just let all those A's hit each other. Whoa.
Yeah, I know. There's also a whole lot of other things for no good reason, and they destroyed my car. There we go.
I got it!
Suddenly got flooded for no good reason.
That's scrapped. Isn't it part of the wallpaper in the storage room?
Yes.
Come on, flashback.
In the music venue
No,
storage room.
it's
There
just
should have
folded
been
up.
black wallpaper that's the same color as that
Huh.
scrap. There was also a tear along the edge of the wallpaper, wasn't there? If so,
You're right. If you overlay the scrap that was caught... See? It fits perfectly.
I see. So the scrap that was caught on the baton lighting was originally part of the wallpaper.
And what's wrong with that? Does it have something to do?
A mere nobody like me. But if you guys were exceptional enough to identify...
Logic dive.
What is it? Move, mouse, accelerate, control key.
Right mouse to break if you need to.
Whee!
Nothing like a good old game of balls on X.
So it was hidden. But the killer use the wallpaper.
Yes, thank you, Tony Hawk.
Whee! Kickflip! How'd the killer hide her body with the wallpaper? They covered the pillar?
Yes.
Seems more likely. Yep, hold on. Blue, blue,
All
blue.
blue.
it's all coming together.
Oh yeah. It's all coming together.
got it. Hyoko's body...
But it would have taken quite a long time to tape up a hidden body.
No, the body was already taped up and the killer hid it, along with the pillar using the wallpaper.
What? They hid the...
Yeah, by wrapping the wallpaper around the pillar, the killer was able to create a slightly larger pillar. So when I first discovered Ibuki's body, Hyoko's body was already there.
Okay, wait, yeah, no. I absolutely see it now. If you look at the one on the left versus the one on the right, absolutely.
Yep.
However, because it was concealed within a slightly larger pillar, I didn't realize that at the time.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, it makes sense that you'd notice Ibuki's body right away.
So they used the baton lighting on the ceiling to hang the wallpaper?
The baton lighting forms a perfect circle around the pillar, so using it to hang the wallpaper totally fits.
Then, the reason the wallpaper was covered in so many stickers was to make it look like that pillar.
That's how they hid Hyoko's body, and then peeled off the wallpaper as soon as I left the music venue.
But the killer made a mistake. They accidentally ripped off a piece of the wallpaper. And because of that, a scrap was left on the baton lighting.
The killer must have been in a hurry. Their plan took too long. Hajime could have walked in on them.
But going to the trouble of hiding the body and the pillar is...
But the crime itself would be much easier to pull off since they don't have much to do while Hajime's gone. They just have to peel off that wallpaper and stash it in...
Then, when was...
Good point. And it's about time we shed some light on those imitation...
You mentioned...
Are you kidding me? You have...
Hey! Don't put my likeness in your movies without...
You're pretty noisy for someone who...
I don't eat mothballs. I just enjoy looking at them. I knew it. There are so...
Ibuki's death by hanging. Not just that, but Hyoko getting...
It's as if both crimes were replicas of scenes from the movie.
But why did the killer go to all this trouble in the first...
Based on what we know, the reason the killer chose the...
To mix up the killing order.
Yes.
I see!
The reason the killer imitated two of the murders from the movie was so he'd mix up the killing order.
Then... Hyoko was actually killed before Ibuki?
A valid line of reasoning.
Yeah, it's valid. The condition of Ibuki's body suggests that as well.
What do you mean? If you're going to cry and beg like that, then I guess...
I'm not even...
I'll let you sob as much as you want later. Just...
What a jerk!
Oh, I see. You want...
An even bigger...
Look, Ibuki died because she hanged herself, right? That means when she was still alive, her feet were touching the floor.
What's wrong with that?
But it seems Ibuki was still standing when Hyoko was... That would mean Hyoko was killed before...
You're a poet.
Man, he's
No,
First and
that's logical.
foremost, how can a low-class
Because she was doing something that's only...
It seems you suffer from... You're one...
The blood on the shoes. She stepped in the blood.
When Hyoko died, Ibuki's feet were on the floor.
No, we agree.
I am telling you to present your evidence.
Did you see her walking?
No.
If her feet were on the floor,
Well, kinda, maybe.
was there any sign she stepped on something?
I agree
Yes!
with that. Just as Sonia said, Ibuki stepped on something. That something was blood. There were faint blood stains on the soles of her slippers.
That is not Ibuki's blood, right? She suffered no external injuries.
Then it's Hyoko's blood!
Hyoko's only wound was a fatal slice on her neck. And she died almost instantly, right?
If Ibuki stepped on her blood,
It means Ibuki was still standing when Hiyoko was mortally wounded. Which means Ibuki was still alive at the exact moment Hiyoko was killed.
Yep.
Don't underestimate the power of the evil eye!
Oh no, he wants to argue with us.
Is that it? A shepherd dressed in his Sunday's finest still reeks of lamb, Hajime Hinata.
Does that mean you have a rebuttal?
Does that mean you have a rebuttal? That's a good line. But are you sure you're sure? If I show you how serious I am, you're so frightened you can't even... However, the time for
Smudge on the floor.
Probably.
You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet belonged to he... Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime scene. There was no blood on the floor. You can't step on blood that was never... Just about what did you see, a nice nightmare?
As long as Ibuki's body has no open wounds, there's no doubt that that blood is Hyoko's.
Hiyoko was taped to the pillar, and it's possible that the pillar still had blood on it. However, you cannot step on the pillar with your feet. It's been nearly 3 years since I've had to use 60% of my power.
Yeah, I did the click.
I think you might not have done it at the right time.
Looks like I have to be pushed back on purpose.
Hiyoko was taped to the pillar, yes. Then it's possible that the pillar still had blood on it. However, you cannot step on the pillar with your feet. You should feel proud. It's been nearly 3 years since I've had to use 60% of my power.
Remember, you have to wait. You have to let it get pushed back.
Hiyoko was taped to the pillar, yes. Then it's possible that the pillar still had blood on it. However, you cannot step on the pillar with your feet. You should feel proud of yourself. It's been nearly 3 years since I've had to use 60% of my power.
Damn it!
You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet belonged... Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime scene. There was no blood on the floor.
Allow me to cut through those words!
Apparently it was just a touch late.
Yeah.
That's not it. The reason there was no blood on the floor is because the killer wiped it away afterward.
Don't say such foolish things! You don't have proof of that at all!
Yes, I do. If you look closely, there's a streak on the floor where blood was wiped away.
When the killer tried to hide Hyoko's body, they probably cleaned the blood at the same time, but... Ibuki must have already stepped in it, and the killer probably didn't even realize it.
The reason they wiped off the blood on the floor was so we'd mix up the order of the murders, right? Even if they're able to hide Hyoko's body, it'd be bad if her blood was left out in the open.
Yep.
Plus, Ibuki's body was left out in the open, and it wasn't...
Hyoko's body was probably wrapped in duct tape to stop her bleeding. Actually, the bleeding will stop once the heart...
Aside from Mikon, none of us were aware of that fact. So the killer...
Maybe the heater was running inside the music venue so it would screw with Mikon's autopsy?
How do you know that?
That's right! I didn't know the time of death because of the heater!
If the time of death wasn't mentioned in the Monokuma file just to keep concrete evidence from us.
Yep. Since we have all this evidence, there's no one else who wants to object, right? Then it's decided. Hyoko was killed before Ibuki.
It appears that it is wiser to retreat for now. Fine then, but regardless of good or...
Can't you just shut up and back...
Now then,
Wait a sec. There's something...
Huh? Again?
Hey, if the victim actually committed suicide, what are we supposed to do?
The same as always. You have to think about it. A suicide means you've killed the most important existence of all, yourself. Unfortunately, that means there's no Blacken to punish, but I guess in a pinch, I can always punish Monami.
Why me?
Nagito? What do you mean? If the victim actually committed suicide?
Well, I mean, I understand Hyoko's death, but I'm wondering if Ibuki was really murdered. For example, it's possible Ibuki killed Hyoko, and then committed suicide due to a guilty conscience, right?
That's totally impossible! Then she never would have killed her to begin with!
Mm-hmm. What?
She was afflicted by the despair disease, remember? That means anything can happen.
But if Ibuki's the killer, she wouldn't have been able to falsify the sequence of the murders, right? After Hajime saw the hanged body, the sudden appearance of Hyoko's body soon after means the killer had to be alive at that time.
Then she was alive! When Hajime first discovered Ibuki, she was just pretending to be dead. If she waited until Hajime left, that's when she could have made her move and mess with the crime scene.
She hanged herself, remember? There's no...
And if she was going to fake her death, I think she wouldn't have chosen hanging. Her body would have been defenseless in that state. If anyone touched her, that alone would have ruined her plan.
There's no doubt that someone killed those two. I'm glad. Now I'm... What the... there's still... If Ibuki didn't commit suicide... According to that video you saw, then does that mean...
Forrest?
I don't know anything about...
Don't say it all.
Putting that as...
So, then our plan is to destroy the... Since Hajime has seen the video, it is clear what time...
But just to be sure...
It's a cheap-ass surveillance camera, you know? There's no way it'd have some kind of sweet recording feature.
Then, the video
What time did Hajime see that video?
I saw it at the hospital, right before Monokuma's morning announcement. And I saw the body at the music venue a little after Monokuma's announcement.
So Ibuki hanged herself right before... And since we established that Hyoko was killed before Ibuki, that means the time that the murders occurred was before and during the announcement.
Then, we just have to find the person...
Now then, I shall issue my decree. Let...
I mean, again, two people have no alibi for this period. Movie's invitation ticket. Spend small amount of video.
We can exclude the sick people like me and Akane, right?
And what about the others?
Okay. There we go. Choose bullets. What is... They only separated for a short time.
But they were separated.
And Ryuko had said that he was woken up by the morning announcement.
Right before the morning announcement, I was totally sleeping in my motel room.
I think everyone at the motel was doing that.
So everyone who stayed at the motel doesn't have an alibi.
What about you guys?
I was where I was supposed to be, my own cottage.
That's not an alibi.
Aside
that
from
he had
those
said
afflicted
that.
by the disease, if nobody has an alibi, then Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi has failed.
Okay. So we don't have proof that Fuyuhiko was actually at his car. It's just that's what he said. So it was... Shoot, what were the things we could hit? Like me and Kane. I don't think there's anything to argue about that, right? We don't have anything to argue this.
No, I don't think so.
And what about the others?
Sonia's account.
Sonya's account was that she spoke to Hiyoko at some point.
Yes. Kuhiko was that they had split up briefly, but that they were together.
Right before the morning announcement.
And then Mikan's account.
That's not true.
Yeah, it was because wasn't right up until the morning announcement because we saw the video just before the morning announcement.
Yeah.
I think everyone
We
at the
were with her
motel is
until
doing
we
that.
saw until shortly before.
So everyone
we
who
saw the
stayed
video.
at the motel doesn't have an alibi.
What about you guys?
I was where I was supposed to be, my own cottage.
That's not an alibi.
Aside from those afflicted by the disease, if nobody has an alibi...
No, that's wrong!
Mikan's account.
Hold on. Not all of us are missing an alibi. In fact, Mikan and I both have alibis.
You two have alibis?
Up until I saw that hanging video, Mikan and I were actually together for a while.
We even woke up together that morning.
Mika.
Hey, what kind of situation is that?
I accidentally fell asleep on top of Hajime. Too much info.
Yeah, it's not like that. She just came to tell me Nagato's condition had improved.
And we went to the hospital together afterward, so we were together until right before the announcement.
I get it. You guys have alibis.
If that's the case, the killer must be someone else.
It's better if we think about it like that. The killer decided to falsify the murder sequence to hide the actual time of the crime anyway.
So it's inevitable that an alibi for both before and during the morning announcement would be very important.
It feels like Operation Destroy the weakest alibi.
But committing an faking the time the crime occurred by falsifying, was that the only reason the killer made both bodies?
Are you saying...
I feel really bad for confusion. I think the killer had a completely different reason for falsifying the murder sequence.
Why do I have the feeling that in all of these crimes, Nagito 100% knows, like, who done it and how they did it? Like, he just, like, has everyone's name on a stick and uses his luck ability to just be like, oh, it was this person! And then just keep using his luck ability to figure out everything. Or, you know, he figures out who did it and then works backwards.
Interesting.
But doesn't want to just say, oh, it's this person, because that would be too easy and people wouldn't really believe him.
Okay, I need to pee, so this is perfect time for me to pee.
Alright, you go.
Hiya!
Stop it!
Are we... appeal time?
What a
Well, this is exciting so far. I guess we're ending off this episode early. I don't like it, but it does seem plausible that Mikan could have done this. Because she was up during the whole time, but really, anyone had access to the place. Fuyuhiko and Mikan do seem the most plausible, especially if they, like, split up during that whole time, but when it comes to who, say, uncovered Hiyoko... it feels like it's two people. It feels like Mikan did the video, and either Sonia or Soda, like, uncovered the body. So it feels like at least two people were involved. But then it's like, why would Mikan want to fake the video? Because it'd have to be someone who could more or less match the silhouette of the body that we had seen. Because it really feels like that there was a faked video because of the whole one of the 4 gowns is missing that we haven't talked on yet, and whoever got the bag got 2 of the bag. So it's just definitely pointing towards that.
Yeah, and I'll point out, Mikan doesn't really have an alibi before she woke Hajime up.
True. However, if she did, do the kill, I mean, she would know that cranking the heat would make it harder to determine, like, the time that the bodies had died and stuff. But why would she, change the heat to hide the time of the bodies die, and then still go, oh yeah, but there's blood on her shoes, so obviously she died second. Like, it's like, if she is partially responsible for it, then why is she sabotaging herself? But it's like, who else could fit the silhouette for the body that we had seen in the almost hanging video?
There is one other thought that occurs to me.
For Hiko.
And that's the 3 people, well, okay, the 2 people who died and, let's say, Mikan. They were very important people in the previous case, too. In fact, they were friends back at Hope's Peak. Like, they were a friend group.
Right.
Also, I just realized my phone is on 1%, so I actually won't be able to continue joining from the bathroom.
Yeah. I'm just about to wrap it up here, just, chewing through a little bit more time while I think out loud about all of this, but I don't think that Mikan could fit in the silhouette of Ibuki for the fake silhouette that we had seen. Doesn't quite fit there. Fuyuhiko could potentially fit. I think Soda would be too tall.
Wait, why do you think Mikan wouldn't have fit? She's about the same height and build as Ibuki.
She has breasts. Ibuki was rather flat, and we could see that there wasn't any protrudings out the front. Unless, of course, Mikan decided to, bind herself specifically for the video, which is not out of the realm of possibility. But still. Mm-hmm. But Fuyuhiko could have fit for that. Soda, too tall. I think Sonia is too tall. I'm not entirely certain. So it could have been Mikan, binded herself for that. Who are the others? Gundam.
It was Byakuya.
Shoot, who else is still in here? There's like 8 of us left. We know it's not Hajime.
Akane.
Right, Akane, but no.
Yeah, Akane, but no, and same with Nagito.
I mean, why is it a no for Nagito? Why couldn't he have done it? What if Nagito did the video? He was in the hospital at the time. All he had to do was wait for, everyone to... I mean...
Huh.
I think that they were in Nagito's room, like, talking with him, and then they just... Or looking at him and decided to go their separate ways, and then the video thing was already on. So...
Yeah, that's the thing. So, because all 3 of them were in the room, Mikan left the room to go rest. And after, like, an extra minute, Hajime left the room, headed to the lobby, and by the time he got to the lobby, the light was flashing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's enough time for Nagito to have gotten up, out of bed, and run down the hall and up the stairs and into, like, a room or anything like that, without us hearing him.
Yes. But also, interestingly enough, though, it feels like that the video was accumulation of two people working together. The one who played the role of Ibuki, and then another one to extinguish the candle, so we don't actually see the hanging happen. So, Mikan and...
There's one other thing that comes to mind. In the conference room, there was also a projector.
And?
It was sitting to the side of the room, and I did see it, but it wasn't something we could examine for some reason.
So you're saying that they had made the video ahead of time, and we were watching a recording of a video?
It could be possible.
I feel like if we were watching a recording of, like, a projected video, that there would have been some more tells?
Maybe.
But that is something to consider.
Yeah.
Especially if the floor of the conference room doesn't actually match the floor of the stage. But anyway, we're going to be calling it here. So, Mikan is suspicious. Sonia and Soda are both still suspicious. Furihiko keeps making himself suspicious, same as Nagito. Gundam, we did an argument against Gundam, but there is no way Gundam could have unwrapped Hyoko's body.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I just have one further thing to say.
Transfer to be okay.
Mikan is protesting a lot. Methinks not doth protest too much, sort of thing. Yeah, that is in particular what's making me suspicious.
Yeah. I feel like, if anything, Mikan isn't actually the mastermind for this, but she's, like, working with them, like, blackmailed, like, haha, I'm going to hurt all of your friends if you don't do this little thing for me. But anyway,